everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, is going to be a story time video, and I'm really excited. This is a really funny story. At the time, I didn't think it was funny at all, but looking back on it, I'm like, this is hilarious, and I need to tell you guys. Also, I'm sorry for the situation going on with my face. It's just, I don't want to talk about it. To tell you the story, we have to rewind back 6 years ago. The story took place 6 years ago, and it's funny to me now, so. It took about 6 years, but it's fine. It's fun. So it was the summer, I was 16 years old, and it was the summer before my junior year. So I just finished sophomore year of high school, come before my junior year of high school. So I just got my license in March. This took place in about September. I had my license for 6 months. I got my license on my birthday, and I was still kind of a new driver. And so what happened was my aunt needed to go to the hospital for some reason. Nothing major. Obviously, if you have to go to the hospital, it's something kind of major, but nothing major. She's totally fine. Nothing bad or whatever. But she had to go to the hospital, and it was like 7 or 6 o'clock at night that she needed to go. And my grandma had to take her, and I was like, oh, let me go. I want to drive. I want to practice driving. So I got to drive. I took my mom's car, with her permission, obviously, and I got to drive. And I was so excited. I was like, yeah, I get to drive. And, you know, when you're 16, you just want to get out of the house. Like, you don't care what you do, just get out of the house. Plus, I was worried about my aunt, too, so I did want to go with her. So we get there. As usual, it takes forever. I'm sorry if you can hear that dog, but hopefully it's not too distracting. So when we got to the hospital, I drove to, like, the front, like, because we went to the emergency room, so I drove to the front where you can, like, drop people off, and I dropped my aunt and my grandma off, and I pulled, and I was trying to find a parking spot, and I was getting a little frustrated, and I was also worried about my aunt, so I was like, ah, crap. So I pulled into a parking space, and I was a little crooked. I was still, like, within the lines, but I was kind of parked kind of shittily. So I was like, whatever, it's fine. So I went in there. We were there until, like, midnight. I come out, and so they're waiting for me, my aunt and my grandma waiting for me by the front, because my grandma can't walk very far, and my aunt, obviously having just been released from the emergency room, doesn't want to walk very far, obviously. And so I go get the car, and like I said, I parked kind of shittily, so, but I was still, like, within, like, my parking space. So I was trying to, and again, I'm, like, new at driving still, so I start to pull out, and I hit the truck next to me. I think I hit it both with the back of the car and also my mirror. And I wasn't like peeling out of there. I was backing up slowly, so I hit it, but I didn't realize in my mind, like, that it was an accident and that I should have stopped and seen if there was somebody in the truck, and if there wasn't, I should have, like, written my information down and, like, left it on the windshield or something. Like, that's what I should have done. But I didn't realize that anytime, I do now, obviously, but anytime your car makes in contact with something that is another car or property or something that is considered an accident. So I had an accident just now. I didn't realize that, and I was like, oh, crap. The mirrors on the side of my mom's car were, like, the kind that could, like, fold in and out. So I had hit this truck, and it folded the mirror in. So I was like, ah, crap. So I pulled in forward, straightened myself a little bit, flipped the mirror up, and I backed out, and I left. Because, again, what you should have done, and if you are in the situation, stop, see if there's somebody in the car. If there is, talk to them. If there's not, leave your information on their windows. Like, write it on a piece of paper, leave it on their window, something. Do something. Don't do what I did. I need to put that in big letters. Don't do this. So I got up, drove, picked my aunt and grandma up, and off we went home. So I didn't think anything of this, right? It is midnight. It's probably like 12:15, and this is important, by the way. The time is actually very important. There's a cop. He pulled out. He turned his lights on. I get pulled over, and I'm like, why did I get pulled over? Like, because again, I didn't think that me hitting this truck was an accident. So I was like, why am I getting pulled over? I wasn't, doing anything. Also, side note, I am terrified of authority. I am terrified. Anytime I get pulled over, even now, anytime I get pulled over, I cry. Not to try to, like, I've gotten better at crying, like, waiting until after the cop leaves, but, like, I don't do it to, like, try to get out of a ticket or whatever, and I'm, like, fake crying. I am just so terrified of getting in trouble and getting authority. Get pulled over, the cop's, like, this part is kind of a little iffy to me, because I don't remember because, like I said, I was terrified. I was crying. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. But basically, I had to get out of my car and go to the back of my car and stand there and wait for the cops to, like, make this decision of, you know, like, this girl just did a hit and run, because that's what I did, technically. I hit the car and I ran. So, so I get 3 tickets that night. I get a ticket for the hit and run, obviously, no proof of insurance, and driving past curfew. Now, I don't know about, like, I don't know if this is the federal law or if it's just a state law, but in Missouri, when you first get your license, for the first year that you have your license, I believe, it doesn't even matter how old you are, I think, but for the first year that you have your license, you can't drive between the hours of 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. unless it's an emergency or to and from a school event, or if you have somebody in the passenger seat that has a driver's license that's over 21. Those are the situations where you can drive from 1 to 5, you know, and it's supposed to deter, like, young kids from, like, out partying all night, drinking and driving, things like that, I think. So, I get a ticket for that. So we'll go through these one by one. The driving past curfew part was actually a bullshit ticket, and the reason why I say that is because I got pulled over at 12:25 or 12:23 a.m. So, in that situation, when I got pulled over, I was not driving past curfew, and even if I was, I had 2 people with a valid driver's license over the age of 21 in my car, and I don't know if you could consider it an emergency technically at that point because we were leaving the hospital, but it could have been considered an emergency because we were leaving the hospital. So that ticket got thrown out, which is nice. The second ticket, the no proof of insurance, it was my mom's car, and I didn't know where she kept the insurance. So whenever I showed, like, hey, I did actually have insurance at this point in time, that ticket got thrown out. That was fine. So the hit and run ticket, thank goodness for good lawyers. So I hired a lawyer. I was freaking out, and I have more to tell you about the backstory behind that, and I'll tell you that in a minute, but, like, I was freaking out, and thankfully the lawyer got it to a non-moving violation, which means I didn't get points on my license or anything like that, so everything was nice, and all I had to do in the end was just pay the court fees, and the lawyer fees, and the lawyer was, like, a family friend, so we got the family friend discount type thing, so that was nice. Everything was nice and settled. Now, this is the part that I laughed, because that guy, first of all, because the reason why, I didn't even mention that. So the reason why I even got pulled over in the first place was because there was a guy, like, the guy who owned the truck was in the car. Like, he was in the truck that I hit at the time that I hit it. So that's why, and he saw the cops, he called the cops and was like, hey, this chick in this type of car and this license plate number just hit me and ran off. So that's how I even got pulled over. And I actually apologized to him in the face. Like, he was in the back of the cop car. He went with them, either that or the cops, I'm not sure, but he went with him. And I apologized to him because, you know, tears streaming down my face. And he was like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like, he seemed so awkward. And I was like, I'm not this, like, crazy drunkard person. I made a mistake. And again, don't do this. I learned my lesson. And I'm not saying that the guy shouldn't have called the cops because, like, that's what I would do. Somebody hits my car, runs off, doesn't talk to me, or, like, I'm going to do the same thing. So, like, I don't blame the guy at all now. At the time, however, if I ever find my journal, I'm going to do, like, a video reading snippets from my journal because I was so melodramatic as a teenager. But I do remember writing in my journal, and that was just a bad summer in general. There's a lot of other stuff that happened, so I was just this rage-fueled teenager, and I was like, ugh! And I remember writing, because my mom actually ended up going to visit the guy to look at the damage on the truck, and I put that in quotes because, yes, the car I was driving did leave damage. It left scratches on the car, but that was it. They weren't deep scratches, they were just scratches. No. I do want to point out, this is me editing, I do want to point out that I know I sound like I think that the guy was stupid for calling the cops. I want to, like, reiterate that again. I don't think that in any way, shape, or form. I think he definitely should have called the cops. He did the right thing. I just want to also say, though, that my car did damage his. It left scratches, that is damages, but it wasn't a lot of damage, but it still did damage. I know I did kind of a bad job explaining that in the video. Sorry. Dents or anything. One was about 2 inches long, and the other one I think was about this long, a foot long maybe, so not very much. And again, I'm not blaming this guy whatsoever for calling the cops, because that's exactly what I would have done in this situation, so I'm not placing any blame. But at the time, I did blame him. I was like, this guy is so horrible, and I remember specifically writing down, oh man, I'm so lucky I didn't go there, because I would have punched him in his freaking face. And I was just, I hate thinking about that time, because I just want to go back and like slap myself in the face, honestly, because like two things. One, I am so terrified of confrontation. Even back then, I like to like talk big game, but I am so terrified of confrontation that I would never have done anything to like injure this guy, nor did I really even want to. Like, that's just the thing. Like, I was just so mad that this happened, and I was just like, and I had this weird misconception that it was gonna go on my permanent record, which, I mean, technically, yes, if the hit and run didn't get dropped and I got charged with a hit and run, it was on my record, but not, like, my permanent record. And I was like, this guy, like, he called the cops and he ruined my chances of ever going to a good college, and blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, colleges don't give a shit about your driving record, unless it's like really bad, like you murdered somebody or something, like, obviously, but that's different. But like, you get like 20 speeding tickets, dude, the colleges are not gonna look at that. Like, they don't care if you have 20 speeding tickets. So I don't urge stuff like that. Like, I don't know where my brain was like, I literally wrote down in my journal, I was like, this is gonna go on my permanent record, I'm never gonna be able to go to college, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, side note, I actually never did go to college. I'm not recommending that. If you can go to college and you want to, you definitely should, but just college wasn't for me, but that doesn't matter. But yeah, that was just the story that I was involved in a hit and run. And it's not clickbait, because I was charged with a hit and run. It got dropped, thankfully, but it was a hit and run, technically. I'm sorry if that story was kind of a little bit hard to follow and stuff, but it was just... it's funny to me, because it's funny, like, the fact that it happened isn't that funny. Like, it sucks and I made a mistake, but I did learn from the mistake, so I don't want to say I'm glad it happened, but like, it could have been worse. I could have been involved in like a real accident and like drove off, although I hope I wouldn't have, but anyway, but it's more funny to remember my reaction to it, of being so angry at this guy who I'm pretty sure was just a normal, nice guy. Like, he seemed okay. Like, I don't know, I never actually interacted with him except for apologizing. But he was just like, this poor guy that had a car hit his truck, and drove off, called the police like any other person would have done, like I would have done. And then, unbeknownst to him, this angry, rage-fueled teenager writing horrible things about him in her journal, saying like, I want to punch him in the face, and he's just... And it's funny to think that, like, at 16, you would think I would be smarter than that, and also you would think that I would know that it wouldn't affect my chances of going to college. So I'm not really sure where that part came from in my head, and I cannot find my journals, but if I do, I will definitely read them out to you, like little snippets here and there. I know this video was kind of like meh video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I promise next week will be a good video, and... actually, before I leave, I'm going to try and start a new series on my channel called 7 Weeks of 7 Colors. It's basically, I want to try to do a day a week where I wear like kind of an out there type color. And I'm going to go in order of the rainbow. So the first one's going to be red, and the second orange, and then yellow, and then green, and then blue, and indigo, and then violet. So this is like Roy G. Biv, all through and through. And I understand for some people, like, red, orange, and like yellow are not really like out there colors, and I agree. I think I've definitely worn orange eyeshadow. This is kind of an orangey eyeshadow right now, but I mean, I want to go like full, like, pigmented. My eyes are red, like red, or they're blue, or the violet, and things like that. So this is actually going to be a bonus series. So starting this coming Wednesday, which will be May, I think, I'm not sure, but the Wednesday following this video, so in 3 days, I am going to start this channel, and it will be every Wednesday for 7 weeks. I'm going to upload an extra video, and I don't want to call them tutorials necessarily, but I am going to show you guys how I somehow managed to wear these crazy eye colors. Crazy for me anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Let me know down in the comments below if you've ever done something stupid while driving, so that way I can feel better about myself. And don't forget, while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you all on Wednesday. Bye!